Andrew from SACS. If you're watching this, it's because you're interested in 360-degree feedback. So just to explain a little bit about what 360-degree feedback is, 360-degree feedback is the planned measurement of subjective opinions. In other words, what you're trying to find out is the impact that a particular leader has on the people around them and how that's affecting their perceived capacity to lead. Now, if done well, this can be an incredibly important thing because, of course, it gives the leader an opportunity to understand the impact that they're having on other people, but more importantly, how to modify their behaviours to optimise their leadership capability. 360-degree feedback typically comes in two forms. The first form is normative. That's where you're using standard questions which have been developed scientifically, and the second is competency-based. Let's talk first about normative. Here's what we measure in the SACS Normative 360-degree feedback instrument. We undertook, in partnership with Deakin University at the time, a very big study into engagement and what leader behaviours cause high levels of engagement. And we discovered 10 really important leader behaviours that contributed to the engagement of staff on a day-to-day basis. Now, why do we define successful leadership as engagement? Well, because engagement correlates with a lot of really useful things. Productivity, happiness, it correlates with things like staff turnover and absenteeism. So it's a really good predictor of positive and negative outcomes, including profit and efficiency. And there were 10 categories of leader behaviours that proved to be very important in predicting levels of engagement of staff. And 4 of these are accountability type behaviours, creating clarity about appropriate behaviour, effective management of behaviour, so creating clarity is making it clear to staff what behaviours are acceptable. Effective management of behaviours is whether you do something about it when the behaviours are not up to scratch. And same with performance standards, so creating clarity about performance standards and then effective management of underperformance. But apart from those 4 accountability behaviours, there are kindness and positivity type behaviours, creating a learning environment, being supportive, fostering teamwork, empowering staff, celebrating success, and being optimistic and positive. So what we discovered is that these 10 behaviours predicted levels of engagement amongst staff, and so we created 3 questions in each of these 10 areas, which gives us the 30 core questions of our standard normative 360-degree feedback tool. And 30 questions is a very short 360-degree feedback tool, which I think is one of the reasons why people like our tools. Of course, the evidence basis is a useful thing as well. The second form of 360-degree feedback is what we call non-normative or competency-based questions, where the questions are actually generated by the group in a facilitative process. And so when people identify behaviours that they consider to be really important in their own environment, this is a great way of creating accountability. And if, for instance, you have a values statement and you want people to live those values out, one of the most powerful ways of doing that is to get people to identify the behaviours and in effect vote for the behaviours in a facilitated setting that will contribute to that particular value. That certainly does change behaviours of groups, and it's a great way of forming accountability. Now, sometimes clients combine the two, where you'll use a combination of the 30 SACS normative questions with, let's say, between 2 and 10 non-normative questions which are relevant to the specific environment that you're working in. Either approach works. At SACS, if you decide to undertake this exercise, we project plan with you what measurement instrument should be used, how the project planning will take place in terms of sequence, the types of raters that you should choose. All of these things are important to understand. But if you do them all well, 360-degree feedback can be an extremely powerful way of improving leader behaviours. Typically, after we get the results, we create a development plan and provide feedback for each leader. And that's a really powerful piece of intellectual property that you'll have to help both the individual and the organisation to work together to optimise the leadership skills that you're trying to achieve within your workplace. Click on the link near this video to find out more.